Kris Boyd was on the warm up and he was giving more opinions on Clement. We're going to dive into that, but certainly some people need warmed up more than others, and it is pretty nippy out there. So let's see what Kris Boyd had to say. Hopefully, it's something new. And essentially, this is what he said, and I quote: "I'm not buying into this myth. Everybody says you can't keep changing managers, but you have to wait until you get the right one. You have to. People forget. Rangers at one point last year were favourites to win the league and managed to mess it up. There's been an overhaul recently because they said they have to cut back." End of quote. Yeah, I think some people are forgetting that. You know, the chasm, the gap between Rangers and Celtic. Here, there's a gap there, but as Boyd points out, last year Rangers were favourites to win the league, and that's factual. They were. I mean, the bookies had them at favourites. You can agree or disagree with it, but when the bookies have you as favourites to win the league, that makes you the favourites. And it was up and down the board, man. There's no two ways about it. And as he points out, they managed to mess up. Now, in terms of you can't keep changing managers, I think you have to. See this, you can't be overreactionary. You know what I mean? Like you can't just bring a manager in and sack him on his first defeat. But Clement's went well past the first defeat threshold. You know what I mean? And he does need to go. At the end of the day, there's no two ways about it. I mean, I could repeat it to him blue in the face. Now he does go on to talk about there's been an overhaul recently because they said they have to cut back, and of course we have to cut back. You know, like these measures have to be made. You have to cut back on ridiculous wages. I mean, here, see paying 35, 30 grand, 40 grand a week for certain players. The only exceptions for it if they're actually good, and the problem is we had so many there that were shite getting paid those sort of wages, and it was for the tried and tested players that were just, wheeling down, man. And it's just like, no, we can't be doing that. Like, to me, the guys that you should be giving big wages are the guys that are going to, commit to the club, like a 5-year deal. I'm talking like, like Hamza Gamani. See if you wanted to give Hamza Gamani like 20 grand a week, by fucking all means, go ahead. 5-year deal, because I'll get him. I'll put his head down. Like his head's already down. That makes it sound like he's depressed or something. I think his head has dropped in the last few games. I mean, that's due to Clement and playing Dessers, etc., etc. But tie him down, you'll get more money for him. I mean, it seemed to be just over the years that Rangers are giving the big contracts to duds / the older players. You know what I mean? And that's just the wrong way about doing business. Arsene Wenger, as soon as a player used to hit 30, man, out the door. Now, I think there's a lot of players that Wenger might have got rid of like too prematurely, but the reality is, man, you look at this and it's like Rangers are just like, right, come on, guys, it's a correct call to cut back on the average age and get rid of the wages, but it's no an excuse about why things have went so bad this season. Boyd did go on to say, and I quote, "People can say, if you look at the manager and what's going on and say there are players improving, and then carry on being my guest, but as it stands right now, I don't see that." But here, I end the quote, but I look at that and think, but good players are going to naturally progress under shite managers. Now, here, Woody Gamani, Ninsala, etc., would they progress better under Sir Alex Ferguson than they would Philip Clement? You bet your bottom dollar. But even the worst managers, right? I mean, you could look at your club's worst period, right? And this is a pretty bad one. Players are still going to shine through. Like, even though against Queen's Park we were bad, when the ball went to Hadji and their Igamani, they were attempting stuff, you know what I mean? Their heads didn't completely and utterly drop. They were the ones you were looking at, right? Are these three going to be able to do something? And despite Clement's horrendous tactics in recent weeks and months, they are like the three players that have stood up and actually looked good. So good players are always going to shine through a bad manager, but the reality is you can't just because Igamani, right, has burst onto the scene, just because Clinton and Sal's burst onto the scene, just because Tierney's got fantastic stats this season, doesn't mean you need to keep the manager. You know what I mean? I think that's a ridiculous thing. To turn around and say, like, so I don't it's not Boyd saying it at the end of the day, but it's just like, come on, what is going on? It is going on. That's pretty much what all Boyd said, but you've also got, Peter Lovenkrands on it. And it was really great hearing Lovenkrands talk about his dog. Obviously, his dog sadly passed away, but like how his dog's memory still lives on with the memes. He's talking about like Halloween, Christmas, and all, and it's a real laugh, isn't it? Honestly, that meme is just fantastic. That's what life's all about, man. You better have a laugh.